Hello. I hope you're having a great night. Hey, I'm about to go live with Katie from Organic Chaos, and we are going to be talking about what's really making us sick. So stay tuned for this amazing conversation. I am in my sauna. So if you're wondering what this box is that I'm sitting in and why I look this way, that is why. So just stay tuned. We're going to wait for Katie to hop on here. Let's see if she is in the live yet. I don't think she's in the live yet, but we're going to talk about what's really making us sick. So please stay tuned. I am oh, there's Katie. Okay, so we're going to join, hit, wait, hold on. Did I ask right? Yes, girl. Hey.
Hi.
Are you in your sauna bag?
I am.
What are we detoxing from?
Just like everyday life.
Right? Literally the world.
Yes.
So, you and I are in this bundle together.
Yes.
Holistic health bundle.
Yes.
Have you had the chance to look through it yet?
Yeah, I have actually. Yep.
Because this is the resource that I wish I had like 15, 16 years ago to start my healing path when I didn't even know what a sauna was.
I know, right? Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
I just think it's like a nice one-stop shop with like a lot of different resources. So I think it's a really good starting point. It's basically like a Costco for learning how to heal.
Yeah. Oh, Costco for learning how to heal. That is so good because Costco is quite overwhelming when you walk into it and there's so many choices and you're like, where do I even start? Right? And that's exactly like the holistic health bundle. But the coolest thing is that it's only $50 and you get $8,000 worth of content. And even if you just find 2 or 3 things in the bundle, you're going to be so stoked that you got it because you're going to be like well on your healing journey. So you and I are both on healing journeys, and I really just thought it would be nice, and I really hope my video doesn't fall. Oh my God, my camera, because I don't have anything underneath this, so that would be bad if it did. But I thought it would be good, Katie, if you and I talk about like what's really making us sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that truly everything that's in the bundle is pretty much what we'll talk about because it's a comprehensive take on health. And like you teach holistic living and how to heal from societal norms. And I think that, yeah, a lot of the things that we're going to say tonight are really, if you want to learn more in depth about it, you've got to get the bundle. So if you don't know what we're talking about and you're just tuning into this live, Katie and I are part of a holistic health bundle. You can go to the links in our bios to get the holistic health bundle. It's going to be gone on the 30th of July. So just make sure that you take advantage of getting it. Do you have a favorite thing, Katie, that you've seen in there?
Not as of yet, just because I like to have, access to just digesting every little thing. So
I know.
It's so much information in there, which is great. But then I like to just kind of go through with a fine-tooth comb and just pick and choose.
Sure.
Yeah, there really is a lot of good, helpful information.
I know. I haven't had the chance to even really look through most of it at all, except I have had a chance to talk to some people that are in the bundle. And I just got off of a live with Lauren, who created a resource for sleeping. Mm-hmm. And so maybe we could start with that. Do you prioritize sleep? Is that something that's like super important to you?
Yeah. I mean, now more so, like in my 30s when I had 3 kids in under 3 years, sleep was not something we really got. And so
that's a lot of children in 3 years.
When you go without it for so long, and then you just get like a taste, you know, now they're getting older. My oldest she'll be 10 this year. So like once you get a taste of what sleep can do, it's like essential. You know, people always want like the pill for an ill, or like what's the quick fix. They don't necessarily like hearing it's as simple as like getting outside in the morning or making sure you prioritize your sleep. That's the stepping stones to like ultimate health, because you're working with your nervous system and your parasympathetic system and trying to balance everything. And it can be as simple as prioritizing sleep. Yeah.
Totally, totally. So tell us more, Katie, about your practice when it comes to like setting your circadian rhythm and the morning light.
So, you know, we all like to just have coffee right away. Like that's like, I'm so guilty of it. I get it. But
I broke free from that. I had to, because I have a very addictive personality.
I know.
A very addictive personality. So I pick my poisons, if you will, and coffee, I had to break free from it. So
I think it's like the warmth. It's almost like, you know, just like that ritual of that morning. And obviously in the summer, it's so much easier to just like, I mean, you get my morning light right away. In the winter, it stinks because it gets, you know, it's dark for so long.
Totally.
But I just think it's so important, and there's so many studies to back that up, the importance of prioritizing that morning light right away, because that sets off your circadian rhythm. When we talk about your circadian rhythm, it's like, you know, boosting your serotonin levels, and then that affects your melatonin into the evening, setting you up for a restful sleep so you can get that restorative sleep so your body can rejuvenate and reset for the next day and the next day. So, so simple as just getting outside. I like to do a morning walk, just getting that vitamin D right away, and just to get my body kind of moving in just a gentle way. And I just think that's like something that's so simple that people can do, and it's free, you know?
Yeah.
That's like
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, water, breathing, grounding, sunlight, they're all free, and they're all true medicine. That's for sure. Yeah, and it's so funny because growing up, I was always told, like, don't look toward the sun. You're going to hurt your eyes.
Yeah.
And there's probably definitely truth to that, but there's also truth to gazing at the sun, like, even in the winter, because where are you located? I'm in Indiana.
I'm in South Carolina, just outside Charlotte.
So it doesn't get, like, brutally freezing.
Nope.
What's the coldest it gets in the winter?
We're from Wisconsin, so we've been here for about 5 years.
Okay. So it's not like brutally cold. Okay, so in the dead of winter here in Indiana, where I'm like, dude, it's like torturous if I go outside in the morning.
Yeah.
At least I force myself to seriously just look straight toward the sun, and I'm like, am I burning my retina? I don't even care. No. I'm setting my circadian rhythm, and I swear it makes such a difference. And it's so cool how there are studies showing that. And then also kind of bringing that like to the end of the day. I mean, are you biohacking with your blue light blockers?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm trying to get a walk in, because your brain, you know, your retina, like everything is just kind of setting with the sun, and that's setting you up for your melatonin too. So I try to get like, we have a loop that's by our house. I call it the loop, and it just goes around it's really pretty scenery with a lake, and it's just peaceful. And I just do that little loop. It's like 10 minutes. So I try to do 1 or 2 just to kind of set my body up to relax for the evening. And the sun, where it is as it's setting, it's telling your body to kind of reset and get ready for the evening. So it really is like a beautiful thing when you think about it.
That's awesome. So sleep is one of the reasons, because we titled this video, What's Really Making Us Sick? And I was chatting super briefly in another live about like how it's normalized to, you know, like binge watch the whatevers, and like that's cool and all, but like up into the wee hours of the night, like that's completely jacking up not just our sleep. Like sleep has so much to do with our hormones and even our digestion. Like, like there, it's just all so interrelated. So sleep is one of the reasons why we're sick.
Yeah.
Sleep is one of the reasons why we're dysregulated. So, all right, what else is making us sick?
Our food, our soil,
our food, yeah.
Our water. I mean, the stuff that
so speaking of food,
our makeup, like just, I mean, the list is really endless. So
yeah, I mean, we could. So let's just pick one. So food, right? So that kind of brings me to like my contribution in the bundle. So I created a holistic and plant-based kids little mini video course. And regardless if you're plant-based or not, like I think that we all should know, or do, but hopefully we all know by now that whole foods are like so key to health, to our cells, to our mind, to our gut, for our skin, like for everything. And it is so normalized, Katie. I mean, like I severely struggled with processed food addiction, like severely struggled. And I never made it to like the obese or overweight category. That it didn't affect me that way, but it affected, like I had depression. I had anxiety. I had eczema. I had asthma. I had like OCD. I had OCD because I was on Adderall because I couldn't focus.
Right.
Like I had, you know, like I had all these things. And once I cleaned up my diet, like everything changed. So, and not only that, but there's like poison in our food. I mean, we've all heard that like voiceover Instagram reel audio, like, oh, now I have to grow my own food because there's poison in our food, and I have to make my own medicine because there's poison in our medicine. Like, it's true. And so, like, just, I don't know, my tips on that would just be to start eating as whole as possible, and to, I mean, source organically, and to definitely, if you're going to be eating any grains, to definitely get those like organic, because glyphosate, and actually glyphosate is on so much more than I thought.
Yeah.
Glyphosate is even used on potatoes. Did you know that? Regular old potatoes. Like, I didn't know that. That sucks. Because I will be the first to admit that I do still go through a fast food line, and it is called Wendy's. And I get baked potatoes when I'm hangry. And those things are probably saturated in glyphosate.
Yeah.
And I wondered why, like growing up, do what?
Like to pick and choose.
Can't be perfect. Like, but yeah, the majority of our food should be as close to nature as possible, right? And there's a lot of content in the bundle talking about that, which is awesome. There's a ton of recipes in there. So I'm super stoked about that. And in our contribution, oh yes, let me go on with that. I brought my 6-year-old son in to help moms just kind of like see how important it is to get their kids in the kitchen. Because do you do that? I mean, like, are you bringing your kids in? Somebody says, I love Wendy's, guilty pleasure. I mean, right? Oh, and Jenny's asking what tea I'm drinking. I am drinking this is my signature blend. I don't sell it at the
drink out of mason jars all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, we like literally, no, I was made fun of by my mom and stuff, like when we got the cool glasses and stuff, you know, a long time ago, like a decade ago, but then I started canning and doing all that stuff, so these just have taken over our cabinets, and this is legit, this is it. But this is like my signature blend that I give away as like gifts, and it is stinging nettle, lemon balm, raspberry leaf, and licorice root. And I love licorice root. It makes every tea good because it's sweet.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm drinking. And I talk about making herbal teas with your kids in the course, in the mini video course that I made. So,
awesome.
And you can get it when you get the bundle that is in the link in our bios. So you do bring your kids in the kitchen, Katie?
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
yeah.
I want
and a lot of parents don't.
No, yeah.
It's crazy.
I like teaching them that it's, you know, it's so hard as a parent to not want to control everything that they eat and put it in their bodies. I really, really want to teach them to read how their bodies react when they're having junk versus when they're having good food. Because I just feel like it can lead to a disaster if you're just always pulling things out of their hands and saying no. But if you kind of educate them and teach them to learn how to read how their bodies are responding to things, like acting out when they're having junk, versus how great they slept when they ate like all of those vegetables and fruits and protein for dinner, you know, like that's something that I am so passionate about for my kids and getting them in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just to help them, just to kind of educate them, like, hey, if you do eat this, I want you just to notice if you do feel any different or not.
Yep.
And I will say that a lot of parents that practice that, like, their kids truly do. They'll put it down halfway through and just be like, you know what, mommy, I don't feel that good.
Right.
You know? And like, it's just something that kids are not taught.
Yeah.
And I was definitely not taught that. And I for sure thought it was totally normal to have a stomach ache after most meals. Like, I literally thought that was normal.
Oh yeah.
And I thought
in my 20s,
do what?
It was the phrase that I used all the time. My friends made fun of me. It was gut rot. Like, I was
gut rot.
Oh, I have gut rot. Like, and they were like, "What is gut rot?" And I'm like, "It's exactly what it sounds like. You feel like your gut is rotting." And they're like, "Oh my God."
Gut rot. I thought you said gut ride.
No.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yes. I mean, it was like the food was probably just literally rotting in there because you weren't able to detoxify, probably because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I ate a good amount of like fast food, and I remember how excited I got. I mean, you know, my mom would like force feed. She would like not literally like stuff it in her mouth, but like she'd be like, you cannot get up until you eat your spinach off your plate. Like, and I used to think that was super terrible, but I'm so thankful that she did that now looking back. But the thing is, the spinach wasn't fresh. It was in a can. It was the Popeye spinach. And it also had added salt and butter on it because I wouldn't eat it otherwise. Like, what? Like, what? So I didn't get, I mean, the fresh food that we got, like, I was an 80s baby. Like, we grew up, you know, with a lot of processed food. And I would look forward to, like, the kids' cuisines. Like, those were my favorite. And, like, the blue box macaroni, I would eat the box. And the tuna helper, I would eat the whole box. Like,
helper.
Yeah. And hamburger helper, tuna helper, like, all of that. And I mean, then, you know, by my early 20s, I was depressed, anxious, had terrible focus problems, so many issues. And, didn't even relate it to the food. But a lot of parents, like, just kind of going back to my contribution to the bundle, which, again, if you're just tuning in, Katie and I are sharing a holistic health bundle. So if you haven't seen either of us talking about it in our stories yet, just make sure that you kind of listen in on this video, because it's a resource for you to just get going. Like, it's $50. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
It's such a low price point to get $8,000 worth of mind-blowing content that is so thorough and so helpful to just move you along your path to better living. And it's gone a week from today. So we wanted to make sure you guys know about it, and you can just go to the links in either of our bios to get the bundle. And I put a little kids course in there, and oh gosh, what was I talking about? What was I talking about? We were talking about processed food, tea in the bundle. Oh Lord, I don't even know. I lost my train of thought there, but yeah, I mean, oh yes, what I was going to say is like parents just don't even think about, and I'm not saying all parents, but so many parents are just we're all living in this society that normalizes processed foods and fast foods and DoorDash, like just it's so easy to have access to food that might not be conducive to our optimal wellness.
Yeah.
And it's just really easy to fall into the trap of those pleasurable, high dopamine hitting foods. And so I wanted to just help parents kind of just realize the importance of getting their kiddos in the kitchen. And also, like, I know a lot of you guys that are following Katie, like, you're already knowing about the importance of like grounding for yourself and like getting outside and setting your circadian rhythm, maybe putting your hands in the dirt and gardening or whatever, like living this holistic lifestyle. But your kids need it just as bad as you do.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, like school, like, I mean, maybe you didn't say, but like school and like all the other things, they're just being exposed to these foods on a normal basis. So it's so important for us to like get them involved with this lifestyle as early as possible. So that's what I wanted to do. And there's other holistic kids stuff in the bundle too. So like, you know, prenatal to postpartum, there's a lot of resources in there.
There's about like releasing stored trauma, like that's super interesting too, because that's something that I just did a deep dive into. Just started. There are so many layers to it, but once you start just peeling away at the onion and all the different layers, it's just crazy how you start connecting the dots with your own health journey. And then that's what I like talking about too, is just because some people might not realize that stored trauma can be, you know, held within your body, and you're not even understanding that a certain event is causing these aches and pains in your body, and it's really stored trauma. So that's interesting too.
I mean, it's so fascinating, and I'm super glad and happy for you, Katie, that you're like doing a deep dive on this, because that I am as well. And I will tell you, just in the last like year, I've really faced it, and it sucks. It really does, because, you know, and it's not to say like that I had a terrible childhood or whatever, like that my life has just sucked until now. But like, holy moly, like when you start doing hardcore long sessions of breath work, which is that's what I like started doing. Like I have uncovered a lot of things and have a lot of like revelation. I've had a lot of aha moments with these sessions that I've been doing, and there's a lot of ways to heal from trauma. So I really am excited to go through that course in there. But deep breath work has been one of the big things. So anybody that's watching this, oh my God, Vitality is the brand, not Vitality, but Vitality, with a W. This guy owns this breathwork brand, and he travels around the United States. So if you want to go to a healing session where a lot of people cry, and you just have to be very prepared for that. Like I went, and I saw it was coming to Indianapolis, and I was like, I'm going. I've done some private breathwork sessions. I've done some group, but I know that this one's going to be like next level. Like people were throwing up, not going to lie. Like it was, and just sobbing. I cried, And I don't cry. I'm not a crier. I really just don't cry a lot.
Wow.
And I just sobbed. And I released so much. And holy moly, that is a big part that I think so many people are missing, that element of on their healing path. Like, they can eat right, they can do their circuit, they can do the sunlight, they can ground, they can drink purified water all day long, but like the trauma, oh my word, it really does manifest. And I even learned that in like Dr. Will Bolsowitz. Do you know who he is?
No.
He wrote the book called Fiber Fueled, and it was an epic book. It was a New York Times bestseller. I took his gut health course twice, and he talks about trauma, the big T, and a lot, like how many patients he had that he just brought it up and they started to heal once they actually faced their trauma. So
it's all these little pieces to the puzzle that once you put it together, you're able to really, get to your optimal health. But it's not something that you can just, okay, it's done. It's like you have to realize that yourself and start understanding and pulling these pieces together to put them together. So yeah, it is. It's definitely a journey. I'm still learning. I think I'll always be learning, just because, if it's just me, but then it's like my kids and stuff that they're going through and trying to figure out that, and my husband and all of that stuff, just trying to figure out parasite cleanses, the MTHFR gene mutation, and, like heavy metal toxicity, mold toxicity. It's just like this ever changing thing. And it just makes me feel sane when I listen to people like Dr. Mark Hyman, and he's like constantly evolving and going through things and then learning and pivoting. And I'm like, well, thank goodness that I'm not the only one. It's just...
Totally. I mean, I think that I will always be healing, if you will. Like, I will always be on this journey to learning and changing and evolving. I mean, God, if we just think about like one thing, which again, here's another thing in the bundle. If you want to learn how to have your own apothecary, if you want to learn how to grow your own medicinal garden, that's in the bundle. Yeah. And I'm so excited about that. You can also learn how to make your own tea blends. There's actually an art to that. Like, I've taken an herbalism certification, and like there's an art to tea blending. Like, making sure you have like a root, and like the different like levels of plants so that it's like energetically sound, if you will, like, or balanced. So I'm stoked about that, about all the gardening resources in there. Good. Yeah, it's good. So Katie, I want to know from you, like, why did you get so passionate about this lifestyle, about holistic living?
Well, I think like everyone, it's like, stems to your health journey. I had breast implant illness. I had those removed, and that was a whole deep dive. And then it was going through a traumatic event with my husband's family and having the 3 kids in under 3 years. That just did a number on my adrenals and my cortisol level, like all these things. And then going to doctors, and it just is infuriating to me that so many people go to doctors. And this isn't like bad mouthing doctors in general, but it is frustrating that you go and you're looking for answers and you're saying something's not right, and they do the lab tests and they say you're within the normal range, so you're fine, and then you're just skirted off you go. I had an endocrinologist tell me I was just tired because I had 2 babies and I just needed to sleep more. It's like, okay, well, the problem is, buddy, I mean, he was like older. So I'm like, listen, pal, I don't care what you have, what certificate you have on your wall, but I'm telling you, I can't sleep and I'm so tired and something is wrong with me. And it's not that I just need to take a nap. Like, there is something seriously wrong with me. So I think that's what started it all. I couldn't lose weight. It was stuck. I was doing all of the things that I knew how to do. Like in my 20s, I did the Weight Watchers thing, and that was fine. And then after I had my kids, I started to do more of a deep dive on how our body just reacts to certain foods, and our chemical makeup is so different and unique for each individual. And what works for me might not work for someone else. And it's just such a unique thing that I think it's so important to become your own health advocate and your own health detective, and learn to dig deeper and learn to ask more questions. And it wasn't until people started sharing their own journeys where I started to connect the dots. And then I decided to get my certification as a gut health practitioner, and it just kind of unfolded. So it's like it's such a passion of mine, and
and so much does happen in the gut, and so much affects the gut, not just food. That's so sad that happened to you. And then did you end up seeking another doctor?
I mean, I just kept,
or did you just heal yourself?
Well, I went to my general practitioner, who wanted just to prescribe birth control. And she said, I'll write a referral for you to see an endocrinologist. I mean, if you want, you don't need to, but if you want. So then it was that kind of shrug attitude. And I was like, okay, well, am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. And then I went to that guy, and he told me that I just needed to sleep more. I was like, this is not right, people. And then it just started to, I read Lynn Janae Ramsey's book called The Plan. Have you heard of her at all?
Not. And I feel like I've heard of so many. And yeah, I mean, just like I was surprised you haven't heard of Dr. Will Bolsowitz. Like, who are you saying now? What is her name?
Her name,
Lynn?
she's a nutritionist. Lynn, she wrote The Plan, and then the Metabolism Plan. Well, her whole premise is just how you have to test certain foods with your body, and your own body chemistry reacts differently with different foods. And then she just has like kind of a baseline of doing like a 3-day cleanse, and then you start introducing foods, and then she talks about what to look out for. Well, I worked with her, and I was just blown away, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what my body, like, I started sleeping well, and then from there I started to go a little deeper, and then a little deeper, and a little deeper, and it just started kind of unfolding as it needed to on my journey. So
wow. That's amazing. I have a similar story that actually just happened to me recently, and I've gone through other health things like throughout my life, but just recently, like in January this year, I actually threw up after just eating like zucchini. Like, it was just zucchini. And I was like, okay, I have food poisoning. But then, like, I couldn't eat like anything without like wanting to throw up or throwing up. So I went to my doctor, my regular just general practitioner, to like see if there's any tests we can, like, if I had like like a parasite, like not a parasite, but like, if we could do some tests, some bacterial infection, something. So he ran some tests, and he's like, they're all in range. And I'm like, I can't eat. Like, there's something going on. Like, something is really wrong.
Yeah.
And he was just like, like, no. So I didn't like quit with him. I just was like, well, I'm going to seek another person. So I went to some integrative gut health dietitian that I am friends with, and they do virtual work out in California. They're Married to Health. And actually, there's a shameless plug for them. They actually put an amazing resource into this bundle. James and Dahlia Marin from Married to Health created a Good Gut A to Z resource that gives you a recipe that is gut supporting, for at least one recipe. I think there's actually 2 to 3 recipes for each letter of the alphabet, using a different, you know, plant or whatever, to help support, or ingredient or herb or something like that to support your gut. And so that's really cool. But I went and worked with them and had a whole bunch of other tests to bring to my allopathic doctor. I was like, okay, let's do this. And it ended up that I had viral overload. Like, I had Epstein-Barr markers, like active cytomegalovirus. I had COVID 3 times. So it was basically, and then I also had the MTHFR mutation. Like, so my body already has problems detoxifying, and you know, a little bit of a suppressed immune system going on there. And like, so it all just kind of manifested, and thank God to just some gentle herbal tinctures and some switches to my diet. Just like, I'm on a healing path, but I was in really bad shape. And it's just, we have to be our own best healer and our own best advocate when our body tells us, like, it's really our job to listen. And to, if we're told just by one doctor or even 2 doctors that we're fine, but we don't feel fine, like, I'm just going to encourage everybody that's listening to not stop until you find an answer. Because you can totally heal.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is, and so, it is like just a journey of learning and pivoting and keep trekking away.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, Katie, is there anything else like that you can think of that's in the bundle that you think would be super helpful? I mean, you already mentioned a whole bunch of things: mold, parasites, you know, gut, trauma, breast implant. There's even a whole thing about breast implant illness, I think. There's a thing about like sobriety if people are struggling with addiction to alcohol. So it's really interesting how many resources there are. But I was just curious if there's anything else that you want to talk about or like help inspire people with before we.
I just think it's a great, instead of, you know, trying to figure out your own health issues and then Googling and then searching YouTube or searching whichever, you know, avenue that you're trying to find the answers. It's just like a nice library of information to just be able to go through and pick out. And it's all just pretty much just like-minded, holistic healing approach to things. So I think that's where, you know, I had mentioned it's kind of like a Costco one-stop shop, kind of figure out on your healing journey, and you can refer back to it. So you can download it to, you know, each thing's to your computer, to your tablet, to your phone, and you can back it up and refer back to it and go at your own pace. So I think that's super important to understand too. So it's nice to just have access to those things.
Totally is. And like you said, like when you go to Google and you're just like Googling symptoms, you'll be there all day trying to figure out like what approach is going to be best to start to heal you. And I think honestly, like having the bundle, like being able to look at all the things that like so many people have healed themselves from, or even there's doctors in here, there's multiple doctors that have contributed their resources. There's even a $400 course from one of the doctors. I can't remember what it's about, if it's like about hormones or if it's about, I can't remember what healing modality it's all about, but it's got to be a really good deep dive, and I'm gonna check that out tomorrow. But instead of going to Google and try to figure out your symptoms individually, I think that looking through the bundle and seeing again what people have healed from and what people are healing people with and for is a really good thing to be able to bring up to your doctor if you are struggling with something with your health right now. So because you might not have even thought about these things, again, like parasites or viral overload or adrenal burnout or whatever it might be, and you can start to take the steps, and you can also have like questions for when you go to your doctor if you're not getting answers. So again, the bundle is going to be gone, the holistic health bundle. Katie and I are both super happy to let you guys know about. And it's going to be gone on the 30th of July forever. If you want to get all the resources, you can after the fact, but it's going to be over $8,000 for you to do so.
Yeah.
So you can get it right now for $50, and you can instantly download everything, or you can just download a few things. And you have access to like the video courses for a year, and then access to all the recipes and downloads forever. So it's so awesome. So cheers to healing. I'm sweating now in my sauna.
Too.
I'm like wiping off my mustache sweat. So
here. That's what I call glistening.
it is.
Mm-hmm. It's that dewy.
It is. Walk around with this all day. It's good stuff. So, well, it was nice meeting you. Like in real life, you and I talk all the time. So, keep healing people, Katie. Keep going. And we appreciate what you do. And thanks for everybody who tuned in. And we'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Take care.